Joining us now in Studio B, Uncle B, Blaine Fowler. Good to have you back, my friend.
Last week I just had an empty week because it was basketball media day, so I didn't get to come in with you guys, and it just didn't feel right.
But you did have the zero beep interview over the phone.
And maybe that's why we were supposed to not have it last week, so that we could be perfect, so the team could try to be perfect.
Did you like those jerseys? You saw them on the way out.
I like it. The retro ones are flashback for me because that's when I was in school. That's the early '80s look, and that's what I remember. That's near and dear to my heart. So when they break those babies out, I might have just a tear in my eye.
Okay. Blaine Fowler with us in Studio B, national champion quarterback at BYU, college football insider. We will start the questions with our Twitter question of the day. And let's give you a little bit of backdrop here. ESPN's Football Power Index said BYU is the 7th most likely team out of 128 to win out. 10.7% chance they are giving the Cougars to win the remainder of their regular season games. What is your win-loss projection for BYU in the back seven, Blaine?
If I had to go put like $100,000 on it.
Whoa.
Which, so I've had to bet that much on it, which is, I don't know. These days, that's a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
I know not for you guys, but I would. It's just so hard.
Took me a second.
Yeah, it took you a second.
What?
It's so hard to not stumble at some point and have a game where you turn the football over. So if I was to make a guess, I would say one loss on the way out. However, having said that, I don't think it's improbable. ESPN says there's a 10% chance. I don't think it's beyond the scope of this team's ability if they play well and don't turn it over to win out. Because there's not a team on the schedule the rest of the way that I feel like BYU doesn't match up with physically. And so it becomes, can you play consistently every week? Can you be assignment signed? But most importantly, can you avoid that game where you have a letdown and you just turn it over and you lose to a team that you shouldn't lose to? So that's kind of wishy-washy. I would say...
Yeah, say something, Blaine.
I would say that one loss would be most probable just because they'd be favored in every game, but they likely would have a game where you just go, wow, what just happened?
Yeah. I thought 5-2 would be good, 8 wins in the regular season, because I want to allow Tanner Mangum a growth period. I want to allow him to learn, and through learning, there'll be some mistakes. Like on Friday night, if that's not UConn and that's Cincinnati, I don't know that BYU wins that game. The way BYU is playing. However, the good news is BYU played Connecticut and won that game. You just worry about that one game at that one time. Now in comes East Carolina, and that's a bigger challenge for BYU.
Yeah, East Carolina is a very talented team. Team speed is going to be a big issue for BYU because this East Carolina team, historically and again this year, when I watch them on tape. Do we even have tape anymore? What do I watch them on? I don't watch them on a DVD.
Digital tape.
I watch them on digital format. So when I watch them, I'm very impressed with their team speed. And this is a team, they've lost 2 games. Who do they lose to? Navy, who's playing really, really well. And everybody knows how difficult that team is to defend. And Kenny Niumatalolo's doing a great job with those guys this year. And they lose to Florida, who just might win the SEC this year the way they're playing. I think Florida's like Utah's in the Pac-12, the team that everybody said, they're not going to be very good. And now here we are this far into the season going, whoa, Florida could win the SEC. So that's their 2 losses. Then they just beat Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech is a team that's always unbelievably athletic and plays great defense. And so this team comes in here, and I know when I watch them on film, I have a lot of respect for what they can do. And I know that when BYU watches them on film, that the players definitely are going to be focused this week because they're going to recognize how talented this team is.
So which game, and maybe it is Missouri because BYU is not favored in that game. 45% chance given to the Cougars to beat the Tigers at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Is there another game where you just point to and go, man, I know you talked about East Carolina, but man, this game really worries me.
So you're saying outside of Missouri?
Yes.
Because that one's made me nervous since the beginning of the year. And even though they're not playing up to what we thought they would be, they still scare me. Cincinnati is a team because of style that makes me nervous for BYU because they're throwing the ball all over the place. And BYU really hasn't faced a team yet this year that's going to bring that type of offense. And so because we haven't seen them manage through a game yet where a team's just going to say, we don't even care if we can run, we'll just throw it everywhere, that makes me nervous. A top 10 type passing team. So if I was going to pick out one game, it would probably be that one just because of style. Although East Carolina makes me nervous this week because of athleticism.
Cincinnati is number 5 in passing yards per game, by the way. 386. Woo! That's next week. Next week, people, on a Friday night. That'll be fun. Tanner Mangum continues to grow for 365. Threw a couple of picks, but I thought we saw growth within a game. Trevor Maddich had an interesting comment yesterday. Said he doesn't know the playbook yet, even though he might think he knows the playbook. How much do you think Tanner Mangum knows the playbook?
I think he knows what they're giving him, but this is all semantics. How much does he know the playbook? Well, they don't even have half the playbook in for him. So as soon as Taysom Hill went out, they said, here, this thing has to come to this. And now they're adding a little bit each week and bring him along. So does he know what's in the game plan? Yeah, he knows what's in the game plan. But what's in the game plan, when you have Taysom Hill at quarterback, when you have a veteran quarterback, and you get against the Michigan, and they come out and they run something that you haven't seen or maybe you haven't prepared for that week, you can go, oh, hey, Taysom, remember when we played such and such 2 years ago? We're going to go with that package because this is what these guys are doing. Well, you don't have that luxury with a young quarterback. There is no history. You can't say, hey, remember when. Hey, remember when was you just got off your mission. Remember when you were in Chile? No, that doesn't work. It's not helping him at all out on the field, other than maybe confidence and mature. I don't know. It's not helping him. Yeah. And so I think he knows what they have in, but I think what they have in is limited. Their game plan is limited, and it's expanding each week. So by the time they play Missouri, that we're all nervous about, there'll be much more of an opportunity to go here or go there with the offense because he'll have that experience. So he's gaining each week because they're adding more each week for him. And I think he knows what's in that game plan for him on a particular week.
Blaine, as an analyst and as a former quarterback, you watch Tanner Mangum with a very critical and specific eye. And, I noticed a couple of things as I was watching him in the pocket on Friday night. On that throw to Mitch Matthews where he climbed the ladder and caught it, you saw Tanner go through his progressions and make distinct body movements. And I thought, wow, that looks really sharp. Where do you see him making the most rapid improvement this season?
And it's funny because he's making the most improvement where he needs to continue to make the most improvement. And that is he seems to be going through progressions and standing in the pocket, but in every so many plays, he'll bail out of the pocket when he doesn't need to. We just saw a play that we're watching here in the studio. Those watching on TV can see it. If you're listening on the radio, you can't see it. But where he didn't need to be out of the pocket. He could have stayed and gone to a third receiver or a fourth receiver. So every once in a while, I'll see him do that. And then on the next play, I'll see him stand in there and go through 3 reads and throw to a check down receiver. And so that's a work in progress. I think he's made very good progress in being more patient there. It's hard because Michigan put so much pressure on him that immediately after that game, you become very aware of where the pass rush is coming from. And as a quarterback, you have to have that sixth sense of where it's coming from, but then you have to ignore that sixth sense. You got to be willing to stand in there and get smacked in the face to deliver a strikeout to an open receiver. So it's where I think he's made the most progress, and I think it's where the most progress continues to have to be made for him to be a big-time quarterback, and he will. That's just experience. From a skill set perspective, he makes every throw. He can make every throw there is. He's got really good mechanics, and they hold up pretty well. He's remarkably good at throwing it when his feet aren't set. So he throws it on the run. He still gets his shoulder square and still has a really good – I like his release where it comes off of his hand. So he's got some really, really good things going for him. So now we get a guy that gets better pocket presence, learns to take care of the ball and get to his reads, and is physically going to be better because he looks like a return missionary right now if you see him without a shirt, but without his uniform on. I mean, the sky's the limit for this kid. It really is. The sky is the limit for him.
BYU in the fourth quarter is plus 36 on its opponents. What are you seeing on film that's lending itself to success in that quarter?
So I don't know if it's X's and O's. It just seems like because they're really, really well conditioned this year, that when they get to the fourth quarter, you start to make mental mistakes. Teams make mental mistakes when they're tired. So fatigue, it not only makes cowards of us all. Who said that? I don't even know who that quote was, but I figure you guys.
Aristotle.
Did he really say that?
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. If he just came up with that.
Jaron pulls that out of nowhere.
If he just goes Aristotle and it really was. I think it was like Patton or something like that. I don't know. But Aristotle's probably close. But fatigue doesn't it makes cowards of us all, but it also makes us stupid. So we get tired and we make errors that we wouldn't normally make. I think this team is very well conditioned, and they're staying with their assignments through the fourth quarter. And when other teams are getting tired, they're executing at a better level, and they're wearing teams down, and that's what I think we can attribute their fourth quarter performance to, and that's a great thing. That's a tribute to Wintrick and a tribute to the kids and what they did in the offseason and getting prepared for this year.
You can watch
Vince
Blaine.
Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi was
Vince
the one
Lombardi.
that said it.
How did you know that?
I have the internet.
The Google machine.
I asked
You Googled
Jeeves.
it. You asked Jeeves?
I asked Jeeves.
He put it in Jeeves. So who was closer, Aristotle or Patton?
You were closer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Who would have led the Packers to a title? Aristotle or Patton? We discuss next.
Yeah, that's
Terrible teases.
Also an easy answer. You can watch Blaine tonight on After Further Review, a new edition of the show. Dave McCann, Blaine Fowler, David Nixon, Brian Logan, all teaming up on our miniature field to educate the people on how to play football. From an X's and O's standpoint, Blaine, where did the BYU defense impress you the most against UConn on Friday night?
They were much more gap sound. And we talk about that on After Further Review all the time. But the week before, there was some concern. It's like, whoa, what is going on? They actually regressed. Guys were trying to make plays outside of where they were supposed to be. So everybody has a gap assignment on a defense. The A gap is between the guard and the center. The B gap is between the guard and the tackle. Well, the tackle, for instance, on a play, tackle's supposed to be in the A gap, linebacker's supposed to be in the B gap, end's supposed to be in the C gap. We saw guys going, looks like he's going to bounce outside. Maybe I'll try to play out here on the C gap and getting out of their assignment, and then they would cut back to the gap they were supposed to have and get a big play. You can't do that. You got to trust the guy next to you and say, that guy's going to do his assignment, and I'm going to do mine. I can't worry about the C gap because my job is the B gap. That really concerned me a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was much improved in this last game. And so from an X's and O's perspective defensively, they were better in terms of getting the gaps they were supposed to be in, and that allows them to have the proper leverage to make plays.
What kind of difference would it make if Travis Tuiloma and Harvey Lange can play this Saturday?
Travis Tuiloma was the best player on BYU's defense. No offense to Bronson Kafusi, because those are three great. Harvey Lange and Bronson are great players. But Travis Tuiloma, when you play against Travis, you have to game plan for him. The offense has to go, well, we can't run that play because you can't run at that guy. Oh, by the way, guard, you can't combo block down, so you can't help the center for a second and then go down and get the linebacker, because as soon as you release him, he'll push the center back into the backfield. He's that kind of a player. He demands a double team on every single play. So he makes a huge difference, because when he's in there, it frees up a linebacker that doesn't have a guard in his face, doesn't have a 300-pounder in his face. Now he can just run and make plays. It makes BYU's defense better. So that's huge. Having Travis back is huge. Harvey's a great player, too, and he runs the football, and Bronson is causing all kinds of problems out there. If they can have all of those guys on the field at the same time, this is a very formidable defense.
Did Travis Tuiloma just get like 8 times better, or did we just barely acknowledge what he does? Because last year we were not having this conversation, but after the Nebraska game, all of a sudden Travis Tuiloma was this
Bronco
huge
was
deal.
mentioning him after every game last year, but he was the only one.
And we were like, oh, interesting. Not, right? But this year, he's the thing.
He's gotten stronger, and so here's what's happened. He was a really, really good player last year, and he demanded a double team, but he held his position in the double team. And so he was a block eater. We call those guys that are playing the nose block eaters. If you're a block eater, you're doing your job. Well, they don't get a lot of credit because they don't make a lot of tackles. The strength increase he's had, so he was already a really good player. He's improved his power and his explosion off the line of scrimmage to the point now where not only is he eating blocks, he's throwing guys and pushing them back into the backfield. We saw a play in the Nebraska game where the backside guard tried to pull around the center on a pull play, on a trap play, and Travis had pushed the center so far in the backfield that the guard ran into the side of the center, and then the running back ran into both of them, and then somebody else made the tackle. Those are the kinds of things he's doing now.
And the average fan does not see this.
Because he didn't even get credit for the tackle.
Correct. You know how many tackles he had against Nebraska? 0!
But he dominated the game when he was in there because he was doing that. And so if you're just piling everything up and you're pushing guys into the backfield, then they gotta start going, oh, gosh, what are we going to do with this guy? Now you've got something. Now they got a game plan for a nose. If an offense is game planning their run game around a nose, you're already in an advantage defensively because you got a free player now. And that's what he
Travis.
does. Let's get Travis. And then the problem is when he's out, you got to bring Logan, and you got to play him down at nose. Well, Logan's really good at defensive end. So now you got to drop off at both positions because these are just younger, less experienced guys. They're so much better when they have Bronson, Travis, and Logan all at the same time on the field.
You ready to have your mind blown right now, Blaine?
Yes. I'd love to have my mind blown.
The man who actually said that saying, was General Patton.
Yes!
And Lombardi took it from Patton.
Vince Lombardi took it from
And Patton got it from Aristotle. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
If we can track it back to Aristotle, that would be cool, but I don't think it's happening.
Okay, now here's the thing. It was in his letter of instruction, number 1, third arm, war as I knew it, page 312. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. See, I just
That was
thought that was a
given
General
to
Patton
you.
type of quote, but I did not know. And right now, I am so proud of myself.
Educated. Get educated.
Get educated.
On BYU Sports Nation.
Brian
Blaine,
Logan would say.
always a pleasure to talk to you. After further review tonight, new episode, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 Mountain on BYU TV. We look forward to it, man.
Thanks, guys.